We're in the vineyard at First Ridge. We're in the standing in the middle of the Sangiovese, one of the Sangiovese blocks that we have here. Mudgee is an Aboriginal name for nest in the hills, and we're on the first ridge out of Mudgee, around 10 kilometres on the southeast side of Mudgee. And our altitude on the vineyard ranges from 480 up to 575 metres. Where I'm standing now is around 550 metres. We grow 10 different varieties of grape here, and it's grown, all of them are grown on the slopes of the giant hill that we have. Basically, Mudgee as a climatic region is a temperate climate. We have winter rainfall, although that seems to be getting less and less the last few years. Predominantly our rain comes in February and March from the cyclones that cross the northeast, across the Coral Sea. Now these rains can be quite heavy and quite large in the amount of water that we get. Being on a hill, of course, this water can flow out into the gullies and doesn't sit in the soil and make the berries swell up and dilutes flavours. This particular vine was planted around 20 years ago here, and you can see the size of the trunk here is very, very small. It's not even 50 millimetres wide. Canopies are medium, but in very good balance. Produces a low yielding crop, but again with these lovely intense flavours. If this same vine was planted down in the river flats below us, the trunk would be up to 150 mils wide, the canopy would be twice as big, the berries and the bunches would be bigger, you get far more diluted flavours, which comes through in the end product in the wine. A lot of the country is planted into siltstone, which is ancient ocean bed rock. We rely very heavily on mulching, keep the soil, to keep the ground cover cooler in the summer and keep the soil moisture there rather than evaporating with the heat. We'll have a look up the row here and we'll see if we can find some siltstone, because it's an amazing rock. It's, as I mentioned, it's millions of years old, and often you find it and it has fossils in it. And we'll have a look at this. First of all, this rock is very heavy, and it's mud, and if we look into it we can see already we have shell, we have leaf matter. Oh, look at this. On the back here we have this is a creature that's before anything with bone, so it's cartilage, and we've got some other interesting stuff going on here. And so this is just full of vegetable matter and also organic matter. And it's 350 million years old, which kind of makes you very realise how our time on this earth has a very small impact. Well, I've just come up a little bit further and I've found another piece of this siltstone. What's fascinating about this one is this is coral. It's again 300 plus million years old, and it's incredible to think that here we are in inland Australia, and yet here's some coral that was growing in an ocean right where I'm standing. Now, I explained to you earlier about the higher side of the hill, and we're down at the lower side of the hill now where the soils are more fertile, there's much more topsoil. Now these vines were only planted 5 years before the ones up on the hill, but it gives you an idea though of the size. So this is a trunk that's it's far bigger. The cordon is much bigger. Canopy is bigger. This particular block I go through and trim. Come down and cut through here, otherwise it would sprawl out into the row. These are beautiful Shiraz vines. One of the early varieties that came out with James Busby in the mid-1800s. It's called PT23, and it's a beautiful clone of Shiraz. Sometimes it's called the Hunter clone, but produces lovely bright red berries right through the spectrum of blackberry, raspberry, strawberry and so on. It's lovely vines, lovely variety. I have a saying here on the vineyard that the poverty of our soil is our strength, and that's because you get, so long as they're kept healthy and they're kept hydrated and they're looked after, they will produce the most beautiful fruit.